Salutations and welcome, friends, to another episode of Amalfi Sports. I'm your host for this episode, Matthew DeSantis, and today we're previewing the start of a massive weekend in horse racing on both coasts, with the Sorrento Stakes taking place on Friday night at Del Mar. Now, before we get started, I want to take a second to thank all of the new viewers and followers. Thank you for all the support and the kind words. Really appreciate it. It means so much. Additionally, be on the lookout in the next week or so for the Amalfi Sports podcast to finally drop. And that's where we'll be publishing these previews, as well as coverage of football, baseball, golf, basketball, fantasy sports, even competitive eating, folks. We got it all. Now, you'll still be able to get all of these previews on YouTube as well. But if you're on the way to work, commuting back to work, now that things are starting to come back to normal after the pandemic, and you want to listen to us in a podcast form, you can certainly do that as well. And like I said, we won't just have previews and analysis, but we'll also be doing interviews with people from across the world of sports. So be on the lookout for the Amalfi Sports podcast on the platform of your choice. In the meantime, stay up to date with all of the daily racing activity by following me on Twitter at the handle @FailedToMenace. Just this week, I had a contest for $100 worth of souvenirs from Saratoga for one lucky follower, and I'll have some more giveaways throughout the racing season. So again, make sure to follow so that you can get the latest on the sports of kings and enter some of those fun giveaways. Finally, as I mentioned, this is a huge weekend of racing, so I'll also be posting video previews of the graded stakes races at Del Mar on Saturday, the Best Pal and the Yellow Ribbon Handicap, as well as the huge weekend at Saratoga featuring the Whitney, the Test, the Saratoga Derby, the Glen Falls Stakes, all happening this weekend, all grade 1 or 2 races. So that should be really exciting. And those videos will drop on Friday morning, but make sure to go to amalfimedia.com to get my blog where I provide my picks for every race on the Friday night card at Del Mar, as well as the cards on Saturday at Saratoga and Del Mar. As always, make sure to like and comment with your thoughts on how you think the races are going to play out this weekend and share with your fellow horse racing fanatics on social media. Okay, let's dive into an exciting Friday night race at Del Mar, the Sorrento Stakes. And this is taking place pretty late for those of us on the East Coast. It is the 7th race on the Del Mar card, and post time is 10 p.m. Eastern. So you can go out, have fun on a Friday night, come back on the East Coast, and still catch some great racing. It's a 6-furlong race for 2-year-old fillies on dirt. So let's take a look at the field for this year's Sorrento Stakes. You'll see it's an 11-horse field. I'm not going to go over each and every one of these horses, but I'll mention them now as we run through the post positions. So starting out in post position 1, you have the horse She's So Shiny, trained by Doug O'Neill and jockeyed by Ricardo Gonzalez. Then you have the morning line favorite, Smash Ticket, trained by Todd Fincher and jockeyed by Umberto Rispoli. Then you have a very intriguing Bob Baffert horse, Ida, that is jockeyed by Abel Cedillo. Then in the 4-hole, you got She's Got Attitude, trained by John Ennis, jockeyed by Trevor McCarthy. In the 5 spot, you have Lover Heart, trained by Andy Lerner, jockeyed by Drayden Van Dyke. In the 6-hole and the 7-hole, you have 2 intriguing horses next to each other. It's Simple, trained by Doug O'Neill again and jockeyed by Mario Gutierrez. And then Sax, which is trained by Derek Bright and jockeyed by Joe Bravo. I'm going to talk a little bit about those 2 horses later. Then finally in the 8-hole, you have First Promise, trained by Molly Pearson and jockeyed by Jessica Pfeiffer. Then Elm Drive, trained by Philip D'Amato and jockeyed by Juan Hernandez. And then 10-hole Roses for Suzette, trained by Sal Gonzalez and jockeyed by Emily Englewood. And then finally, in post position 11, you have At the Spa, trained by Jorge Parabon and jockeyed by Taylor Bays. And so that is the field for the 2021 Sorrento Stakes. And, a few weeks ago, we talked and I previewed the Sanford Stakes taking place at Saratoga. And that's when we saw the best 2-year-old boys run. And this is obviously the 2-year-old fillies. But if you remember that Sanford Stakes, that was an opportunity. That was a coming out party for the horse Wit, who just put on a show in that particular race and won by a huge margin, and really put on just a tremendous move around the final turn at the same distance of 6 furlongs. So it'll be intriguing to see whether or not the ladies can follow up this performance. Will one of these horses display themselves in the same way that Witt did, where Witt clearly separated himself, at least early on, from some other 2-year-olds? Obviously, one of the things we'll talk about is with 2-year-olds, there's a lot of development. These are horses that, for the most part, are only making their second and maybe third starts. So they're still figuring things out. Breaking from the starting gate is still a big deal. How anxious they get during the post parade, how anxious they get in the paddock. These are things still to consider. How do they respond to a lot of traffic? How do they respond to being pinned inside in some cases or being pushed outside? These are things that you just never know with a young horse. A lot of times these horses, particularly in this field, really didn't have a lot of negative things take place in that first race. They didn't face a lot of adversity. They won by, 5, 6, 7 lengths. So it was a pretty easy trip. It was a pretty easy time out. This time, now we're in a more competitive field, a larger field with 11 horses. So because of that, there's more opportunity to get bumped around. It's going to be chaotic at the break. It's going to be a lot of people jockeying for position going into the turn. It'll be fascinating to see how some of these younger horses respond to this sort of very competitive environment. Some horses respond really well to it. Other horses do not. We just don't know until we get into it. So handicapping 2-year-olds can sometimes be a little bit of, guesswork, but I think there's some very clear indicators in this field about who at least is in that top tier of horses. And these are the horses you really should be paying attention to. And let's start with the morning line favorite, Smash Ticket. And this is a horse that has posted by far and away the best speed numbers of any horse in this field, has 2 races, and has posted 2 plus 75 Beyer speed numbers. So in its first race out, posted a 76, second race out, 78, won his last race out, or won her last race out, I should say, finishing second by 2 lengths in her first race. So this is a horse that does seem to have improved a little bit, and both races were at 5 furlongs. Very solid speed number times there, obviously, for Smash Ticket. Now, one of the things that, and I guess I should preface this by saying, no other horse in the field has a speed number better than 66. So you're looking at Smash Ticket having a speed number of 76 and 78. Nobody's within 10 of that. Now, that said, when you're talking about 2-year-olds, development takes place in huge spurts a lot of times. And it is expected for you to see a horse go from maybe a 65 to a 75 or an 80 potentially. We saw that with Witt. Witt made a huge jump in the Sanford Stakes in terms of taking that first Beyer speed number, really increased by 20 points for the second time out. So you can see that sort of progression with horses between their first and second time out. So if you're looking at the racing form, don't just go, well, 78, 76, nobody else was within 10, so this thing's over. Not necessarily. And I think that's something you have to keep in mind. Obviously, there's still a lot to like with Smash Ticket. Won the second time out by 5 lengths. So, won in a very classy fashion, and is, fractions have been very strong. And, again, workout fractions have been very strong at 4 furlongs, working out at Del Mar over the last week or so. So there's no major concern or alert that goes off to suggest that Smash Ticket is not the real deal and should not be a worthy morning line favorite. What I will say is when we talked about progression, Smash Ticket went from a 76 to a 78 in that first race. Now, granted, won by a lot of daylight, and so was able to kind of gear down a little bit. And maybe that speed number could have been 83, 84 if she had pushed it all the way to the wire. But still, maybe this horse does not take a huge step forward, because we want to see horses continue to take step forwards in terms of these speed numbers, in terms of their fractions, in terms of how competitive they are. Maybe Smash Ticket just this is the type of horse she is. I mean, again, this is very nitpicky because there's so much to like with Smash Ticket that it's hard to bet against her. So, again, a very strong morning line favorite. But let's take a look at some of the other horses that I think will offer some resistance to Smash Ticket. And one of those horses is At the Spa. And I always have to chuckle at the name because, of course, the shorthand name for Saratoga is the Spa. And of course, there's a lot of great races taking place at Saratoga this weekend, but this horse is not at the Spa. This horse is at Del Mar. But At the Spa, listen, is 2 for 2, has won both the races that she's entered, has won them by a combined 9 lengths, has kept the same jockey this whole time, and has, again, posted very strong splits in terms of her racing at 5 furlongs. So a lot to like there. Couple of things, though, to still be concerned about. One, slightly regressed in terms of buyer speed the second time out, went from a 64 to a 59. Now, again, won that second race by 2.5 lengths, so maybe there was a little bit of gearing down. Maybe that speed number could have been a little bit higher if they had pushed all the way through to the end. It was also a step up in class. And so that was good to see, actually. Still able to win there. The other negative with At the Spa is going to be carrying more weight. Part of the rules for this is the more you've won, in terms of the more the horse has won, the more weight that the horse is going to have to carry. At the Spa is carrying 123 pounds. A lot of these other horses are carrying 118. Again, just something to consider. The other thing that I found interesting is At the Spa has had really erratic workout numbers at 5 furlongs. I like that the horse has been working out at 5 furlongs. That's good for a young horse, particularly going into a race that's a little bit longer than it's ever been in before. But those workout times have ranged from a minute flat to 105. So it's just a lot of fluctuation. And there's been a couple in between as well, 102s, 104s. It's just interesting. So I just don't have a ton of confidence in At the Spa, although breaking from that outside post position for this distance might actually be quite beneficial. Although you do worry sometimes with young horses, there's no horse to the other side. Do they start to drift out maybe a little bit too much? It's just something to consider. Taylor Bayes, obviously a very good jockey. And so Tyler Bayes, I should say, very good jockey, and has jockeyed At the Spa the last 2 times out. So shouldn't be as much of an issue. There are 2 other horses that I really want to delve into quick. One of them is Ida. This is Bob Baffert's horse, posted a 63 buyer speed number the first time out, and actually won by disqualification, but has been posting some blistering speed numbers, 5 furlongs and 59 and 4 during workouts. So this is a horse that really has a lot of speed. That said, this is a horse that does seem to like to actually come from off the pace a little bit. The intriguing thing about this race is that there's going to be a lot of speed in this race because a lot of these horses like to get out in front early. I mean, tactically, that's what you need to do. But Ida seems to be a horse that is okay sitting off the pace and kind of breaking late and making up ground. So it'll be intriguing to see the type of run and the type of ride that Cedillo gives her and maybe Bob Baffert's instructions to him. So it'll be fascinating to see. This is a horse, again, though, that there is a lot to like there. You never know about a horse that, finished second. A lot of these horses won their first time out and won in going away by 5, 6, 7, 8 lengths. So this is a horse that got edged out actually by a nose at the wire and only won through the disqualification. Does this horse have the sort of makeup to be competitive with the rest of the field? We'll see. I mean, there's a lot to like there, certainly, and the pedigree is quite strong. And this is a horse that was purchased for over $500,000. So there's a lot to like, obviously, with this horse, but just something to keep in mind. The horse that I really like, and that I actually think is going to upset Smash Ticket, is a horse, Elm Drive. This is a horse that posted a 66 speed number the first time out, won by 8 lengths. You don't see that every day. This is a horse that's also been posting incredibly strong workout numbers at Del Mar. I like that. I like that the horse has been working out at Del Mar quite a bit. Just, again, get used to that turf. And so the other thing to point out with this is that Elm Drive has the trainer-jockey combo of Philip D'Amato and Juan Hernandez. Those two, when they team up, have paired 24% of their races at Del Mar this season. That's a pretty good percentage, and has returned a whopping $3.73 return on a $2 investment. So they're almost doubling your investment in terms of return. There's a lot to like there. And Elm Drive just seems like the type of horse you win by 8 lengths and still post to 66. This is a horse that had a lot in the tank, and I think can take that huge step up in class. I think this is a horse that will be put aggressively on the lead, breaking from not quite all the way on the outside, breaking from that 9th position, should not have to worry about drifting at all, and can go straight down into the rail, use that early speed to get on the lead. I think that's a really good position for her. There's a lot I really like about this horse. Now, I went over these, few horses, and I should point out all of them are going off at really low odds. These are all pretty much so the favorites in the race. So, for instance, Smash Ticket's going off at 9-5. You have Ida that's going off at 4-1. At the Spas going off at 5-1, and then Elm Drive is going off at 5-2. If you're looking for a little bit of value to pair with an exacta or a trifecta, and again, these are 2-year-olds, so you never know what happens. Maybe you want some of these horses to win. The 2 horses I would tell you to look at are coming out of posts 6 and 7. It's Simple, trained by Doug O'Neill, who I have to say is on an incredible cold streak at Del Mar. He is just not doing well. His horses are only winning about 7% of the time there. But still, Mario Gutierrez is a good jockey, and It's Simple is a product of Nyquist, who has produced a lot of really good 2-year-olds. So there's a lot to like there with It's Simple. Also, It's Simple has been posting some really fast numbers and should get out on that front lead or be very, very close to it. Again, that's a good place to be for these 6-furlong races. And then the other horse is Sachs, which is the Derek Bright, Joe Bravo horse, going off at 10-1. So that gives you a little bit more money. What I'll say is Joe Bravo's he's had a good jockey season at Del Mar, winning 14% of his mounts. And he and D'Amato team up occasionally as well. They've also had some pretty good return on investments. So a lot to like there. I think Sachs also, won the last time out. We've seen it improve from 48 to 52. Do I think Sachs has enough to win? No, probably not. But I do think at 10-1, again, great value at the back end of a trifecta and a superfecta. So how do I see the 2021 Sorrento Stakes playing out? Well, listen, folks, I got it 9-11-7. I see it Elm Drive winning, Smash Ticket coming in second. I have At the Spot a show, and I have Sachs coming in 4. I think the way this is going to play out, you're going to see a ton of early speed. You're going to see, 3 or 4 horses really trying to vie for that early speed. I think ultimately down the stretch, you're going to see Elm Drive and Smash Ticket going head to head. And I just like what I think Elm Drive has left in the tank. Just something I like about that horse a lot, watching that first race. So I have Elm Drive to win, and I think it's going to be an exciting Sorrento Stakes, and we can only hope that maybe one of these horses distinguishes themselves the way that Witt distinguished himself at the Sanford Stakes a few weeks ago. Well, that's it for today. But I hope you enjoyed the preview for the Sorrento Stakes, and remember to check out my blog for my picks for all of the races on Friday's card at Del Mar, and watch my previews for the stakes races at Del Mar and Saratoga on Saturday that are dropping on Friday. So get ready for those Saturday races a day early. Those videos will be out on Friday, so make sure to check that out. And also make sure to obviously read the corresponding blog on the website for all my picks for both the Saturday cards at Del Mar and Saratoga. And the only place you can get them is on amalfimedia.com. Finally, just a reminder to subscribe to Amalfi Media on YouTube. Follow me at Twitter at the handle @FailedToMenace. And check out our website at amalfimedia.com for all of the great horse racing content that you need to get your way through to the Breeders' Cup and beyond. Until next time, I'm Matthew DeSantis, wishing you a great day at the races and reminding you that it's now post time.